I'm going to defend every golfer who slammed a putter back in the bag this weekend. You stand over a 10-footer for par, you miss it. You should be mad. Caring when you miss is the whole reason anybody gets better. And the day I shrug and kind of just give up after a missed 10-footer is probably going to be the day that I stop improving.
But Isaac, here's the number that ends that argument. The best putters alive make about 4 of those out of 10. In about 8 feet, it's a coin flip, 50% almost. Mark Broadie ran the ShotLink data, and he says that tour pros make about half of their 8-footers.
Come on, there's no way.
No, no, I'm 100% serious. And unfortunately, it gets worse. In the fairway, a Tour Pro hits it inside 3 feet 4% of the time. So all the times you think, oh, a Tour Pro is just he'd stick it. It's not happening. One shot in 25. So if the putt that you're furious about missing and the wedge that you're furious about not stuffing, if you think about it, the PGA Tour player misses both of those most of the time.
So every time I grade my Saturday round,
Yeah, you're grading it against a standard that doesn't exist. Not for you, not for them, not for anybody. It's
mm,
in your head. So by the end of this episode, you will know what the tour golfer actually looks for without the TV edit, what a round at your handicap is supposed to look like in a new way to grade your golf that costs nothing and starts working on Saturday, the first day you're playing.
huh. Well, I guess along a similar line, literally this past Monday, I hit a 5 iron from 215 to about 40 feet, middle of the green, maybe a little past the pin. And I wasn't outwardly disgusted, but I wasn't exactly super pumped about it. Maybe muttered a little something to myself and walked up to the green, head hanging. I missed the eagle putt, but it's a 40-footer. I couldn't have been that mad about it. But walked off with the birdie feeling like, man, I probably could have given myself a better chance at eagle. I, why am I
What's
mad
this?
about
Come
that?
on. What's the stats say? 215 to 40 feet.
Oh, statistically, if we look at the stats that you can download for free down below, it's 45 feet on tour from about 225. So yeah, I get it. I probably tour average beat tour average, so it was a good
Yeah.
shot in
I mean,
retrospect.
again, like seriously, think about that. Like, you're not only better than the average, you're beating the average of tour players.
Yeah.
People don't understand and don't realize most of the time the tour players are absolute studs. They could sleepwalk through your home course, shoot 65, and make it look like it was just another day, another walk in the park. So
Mm.
something so simple.
89% of you are not subscribed to the channel. And if you subscribe, that means that more people who are just like you are going to find the channel. So do them a favor and go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below. Like we were just talking about, there's a lot of these tour averages. Once again, you can grab down below with that free stats system. Just walks through every single stat from 3 feet to 300 yards, tour pro all the way through 20 handicap. Like tour average from 100 to 125 yards is 20 feet. Like most golfers are gonna get a little upset if they hit that to 30 feet from 115 yards. I mean, it's actually probably pretty good. And tour pros are gonna hit to 30 feet every once in a while because averages exist because there's a higher and a lower number. Like, what do you think from 100 yards in the fairway? How many percentage of tour shots finish inside of 3 feet?
Yeah, and we talked about that in the intro. It's 1 in 25. 1 in
Yeah.
25. I mean, so, like, 3 feet, obviously, it's close, but you're thinking 100 yards, a very stock number, and you're thinking in the fairway, so a good lie, like, "Okay, these guys should be able to do this, somewhat routinely." No, it's 1 in 25, and think about all the things in your life that you're only able to do 1 out of 25 times. I mean, it's probably
Mm.
something really difficult.
That's I actually haven't thought about it that way. That's interesting because, like, for example, yesterday playing a little evening round with Colby, shout out, had 122 in, and I hit it to tap in range, like inside of 2 feet, and it surprised me that I hit it that close. So I think at some point, like doing these podcasts, talking through this data enough, it's starting to really resonate. Like, okay, that I was really happy with it, obviously, but even more so, I was surprised, like, "Oh, I actually holy crap, I hit one close." And it kind of, a little bit of that's a happy accident. Like, even on the putting green now, I look at I maybe made a 20-footer to finish that match off last night. Not to rub it in Colby, my bad. But on tour, That's a 15% make rate.
Yeah.
Now, did I walk it in pretty confidently and give it a little fist pump? Absolutely. Like I should have, because I knew it was going in the whole way. But like you just don't make that many of those, right?
No,
You don't
yeah.
make that many of those unless you're Hayden Zimmer.
No, yeah. So the 15% make rates, that's about 1 in 7. I mean, look, Sherman, what's Sherman's last name? First name?
John.
Jon Sherman. Okay, so Jon Sherman, we love to quote Jon Sherman. He says landing the ball inside 10 feet is not the standard for a good shot, not
Mm.
even close. And his follow up is even better. He says chasing the 5 foot proximity is a pipe dream. 15 to 20 feet is a good outcome for most golfers. It
Yeah, I
really
think,
is.
and there he's obviously talking about approach play. You can even take that to chipping. Like it getting inside at 20 feet is really good for chipping. Getting inside 20 feet obviously is incredible for approach play if the average on tour from 100 yards is 20 feet. The other thing is, when we think about where pros are automatic, it feels like, oh, they hit every fairway. That's not true. They hit every green. That's not true. They chip everything to 2 feet. That's not true. The one place they are automatic is inside of 3 feet, where they make 99.4% of 3 footers.
Yeah.
So that's the zone where if you want to chase perfection and you've got this idea of perfection in tour pros, that's where it is. And unfortunately, we might even have a warped view of that because we watch Jordan Spieth miss 3 footers all the time. Like,
Yeah.
shout out, right? May his golf game rest in peace.
All right, so Isaac, I'm going to read the Tiger stat that just when we had it in our show notes, I was so excited that it was under my name. Okay, so from 2002 to 2005, we're talking about the greatest golf that's ever been played on the planet. Tiger Woods faced 1,543 footers. He only missed 4.
Yeah.
He only missed 4. And again, this is on the PGA Tour. And yes, it's great greens, it's great everything. They're putting a lot of times they will put these pins on difficult spots. I mean, we're not talking about putts inside 3 feet that are dead straight every single time. And again, if you want to bring it to practical life, 1500, what was it, 1540? How many things that are you're doing 1500 times in 40 that you're only messing up 4 times? It must be something that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
And for Tiger, he made those 3 footers look so flippin' easy.
Don't you hate it when somebody takes 2 minutes out of your podcast to tell you about something? That's why I'm just going to take 30 seconds to tell you that if you install Play Ready Golf, you can get tour level strokes gain data for just 30 seconds a hole. And that strokes gain data then turns into a practice plan that gets better as you improve. And it takes into account the time and the facilities that you already have access to. If you want to get that down below, use code PRGPOD and it'll get you $20 off every single year for life. Under 30. Yeah. What I think, to go back to that argument about like, well, they put in perfect greens, like Tiger was in the last group or near the last group in most of those events. Around
Ooh,
the hole gets pretty beat up, especially
yeah.
around the hole gets beat up actually more on good greens because the grass can't rebound as much. And I mean, you look at the old videos of like Torrey or even current videos of Torrey where the ball's bouncing all over the place. Like,
Yeah.
you know how many freaking events are out there every year, especially back
Yeah.
then? Like, they weren't playing a ton of Midwest golf even back then. So we're talking about some grainy stuff, some gnarly stuff.
Yeah.
So all this kind of rolls into one, which is that we've been failing tests probably all year. All of us have been, that we just made up in our head. Like you're missing a 10 footer, you're marking it as a failure. You're hitting it to 25 feet from 100 yards, you're marking it as a failure. But you're just like, that's not real. Like those are, you're curating a test and its answers, and that's bound, there's no truth around there. So if you want to know what those numbers are, once again, 900th plug for this thing and then I'll lay off of it. That free stats guide down below, that'll give you kind of averages for every single handicap group from every single distance between 3 feet and 300. Just go grab it. You can use that as a reference as we continue to talk. If you got any questions on it, drop a comment down below. Well, let's jump into this fake report card. I do want to give a little context before we jump into the rest of this episode. It is 9:26 p.m. This episode gets uploaded in like 8 hours. Shout out. That's going to be fun.
Isaac, come on now. Don't put us on blast like
No, hey,
this.
that's fine. Well, here's the only reason I'm saying that is if we can make the most of our time and our resources, live it out, you can too. So let's keep getting after it. You're gonna enjoy this. Just this episode might get a little unhinged towards the end. So,
That's perfect.
but if you're
Well,
listening
then
at this point, you know, appreciate you guys. Thank you.
That's perfect. Okay, well then I'll start it out and I'll frame it as a question. You said missed 10-footer, failure.
Mhm.
25 feet from the fairway, failure. Where did that standard come from? Why do people think that way? What makes them have this fake report card in their brain?
I think it's 3 things. I think it's broadcasts. I think it's kind of like old widows' tales coming from, like, Ben Hogan, and then I think it's you looking at your own best shots and inflating it in your head. So we'll start with the first thing, which is the broadcast. Even for me now, as much of a golfaholic as I am, the majority of the golf that I watch is Sunday afternoons when you're watching the best players in the world playing their best. And so they're only showing the outliers because outliers give views. We talked about that 2 weeks ago,
Yep.
how we've kind of turned into like a clip farming like part of golf, right? Where it's just we're trying to get the highs and the lows. That's all we care about. We don't care about the average.
Yep.
Um, and so when you see, let's say, like last week, 2 weeks ago, you see Jackson Coyven hit one to 40 feet with a 7 iron. It's like, well, yeah, because he's leading the tournament. That's the only reason you'll see average shots is if somebody's really leading a tournament. But you won't see the average shot from them on Thursday or the average shot from them on Friday, and those are where people get ahead or just barely getting ahead. Adam Young actually wrote a really good piece on this called "Pro Golfers Are Not That Good," talking about this exact point. So this mental library that we go through when we compare ourselves to pro golfers, which we shouldn't be anyways, but if we were, we're also comparing ourselves to the best pro golfers at their best moments. Like it almost like it's curated by a producer whose whole job is to put together highlights.
Yeah.
I want walk me through this legends point as well, Hayden.
Yeah. So even the legends are graded on a curve, but it's the curves you've never heard of. So Ben Hogan, maybe the purest ball striker who has ever lived. And again, you hear all those. You call it an old widow's tale. I've never heard
Yeah.
that before.
Like where it's if I mean, we're both in that season of life. If they're kicking in the night, it's a girl. If they're kicking in the day, it's a boy. Like kind of one of those. Like
Okay, I've heard
just
it
making stuff
old
up.
wives' tale. I've never heard
Oh,
widow's tale.
I might be making old widow's tale up.
Hey,
My bad.
hey, you said it before. I guess we're gonna have a little unhinged episode, but maybe an old wives' tale. Ben Hogan, maybe the purest ball striker ever. He shot 66 one day and told the writer Dan Jenkins that he did not hit one shot that turned out the way that he wanted. Jenkins pushed back on him, said, "So what's a good round?" Hogan's answer was a good round is when you hit three shots that turn out exactly like you pictured them. Three. The most demanding player in history passed himself on three pure shots around, and you demand yourself more than what Ben Hogan did. I read that and I was like, absolutely, absolutely. If I'm talking about the way I perfectly envisioned it, coming off the face in the window, the way that the spin reacted for the ball on the green, all of those things, yeah, rare, very
Yeah,
rare for it to happen.
and
And
this
when
kind
it
of
does
stuff. Yeah,
happen, obviously, yeah, you get super excited, you love it, and but I think for so many times that we do not let that sink into our brain much more than if you hit it and it was the let's call it the shot that you scoff at, the 20-foot shot. Well, yeah, that's still a good shot from 125. Let's say we hit it 20 feet. So there you go, the average. That's still a good shot. But we do not let that process and sink in our brain. Or no, I'm sorry, we do let that process sink in our brains, like, ah man, I really let that one go away. I didn't as much as we'd be like, hey, if I hit the shot that turned out exactly went to a foot, man, I'm not really letting that thing like just really get me going. I feel like we focus on the bad way more than the good.
it's been very apparent in the comments. Some of the reels that have done best are the ones just talking about stats or talking about how, like, for example, getting the ball up as far as possible is going to be the best outcome. And people like to cherry pick things that even still the stats back up getting it up there as far as possible. And then you also see in those comments people saying, well, Jack Nicklaus always tried to lay up, or Tiger during that 1 year always laid up to a perfect number. And it's like, I, I don't, two things. One, Jack Nicklaus didn't understand stats. Let's not pretend like, I mean, he's a great golfer, but he didn't have access to what we have access to. Like,
Yeah.
so like in all honesty, Jack's a great player. Couldn't care less about what his opinion on strokes gained is because he was already 4 million years old by the time that Mark Broadie came out with his research. Number two, mad respect,
Wow.
but number two, like You compare you saying Tiger always laid up to the perfect number and that during his greatest season of all time, and that's why I should try to lay up to a good number as opposed to get it up as far as possible. We're like, okay, cool. Like, so I should try to dunk every time I get on a fast break because that's what LeBron does. Like,
Yeah.
no,
Yeah.
wrong answer.
Yeah.
Wrong answer. Sorry,
Yeah.
my bad. Like uh, you are not special. I hate the notion that somehow you're the outlier. You're not. And that's awesome. You know why that's awesome? Because there's millions and millions and millions of shots of data that will explain how you can score lower over time. And you want to be the outlier because you want to be special. You're not special. And
Yeah.
that's a good thing. If you were special, this would be significantly harder. You are
Yeah.
making it harder on yourself.
Yeah.
I'm
No.
probably
Yeah.
yelling at nobody right now because everybody who comments on Instagram doesn't listen to this, but I, I don't know. That'll probably get clipped. That's fine. Whatever. I just, well, and to that point, people inflate their own numbers. Arccos asks golfers at sign up how far they drive it. So when they're signing up for the app, this might actually be a good thing to implement into the app. Um, and then obviously, they measure their first 20 rounds and they're using GPS. So this is legit stuff, right?
Yeah.
On average, golfers claimed 24 more yards than they actually hit it. The guys who claimed 275 or more were off by 36. The average male drive in the Arccos database is 224 yards, and that's moved less than a yard since 2018. Shout out to USGA. We don't need to roll the ball back. Ding dongs.
Yeah. Hey, if there's any caddies listening to this, a hand up here. I've gotten to the back nine of a round and I've shot 160. And I told my player, hey, it's 170.
Yeah.
And guess where the ball ends up getting? Pretty close to pin high. Now, again, hand up. I'm saying that's very situational. I very much tailor that to the golfer that I have. And while I know that it might be hard for them to hear, hey, it's 160, but I think you should hit the more club. It's all in the best interest, but it's not. It's not. You're not wrong, Isaac. You're not wrong.
And to do a little personal anecdote here, every single month or two leading into me playing really well over the past 5 years, I've started airmailing greens. Like I'm actually taking too much club and then I can back off. Like I'll go through these little waves where I'm just taking too much club because I don't know my numbers in the opposite direction.
Yeah.
I think that's actually a better problem to have. If you're airmailing greens, it's way easier to just club down than it is to try to convince yourself that you actually just don't hit it that far.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of ego in there, and that's fine. Like that's just life. But at the end of the day, you and I genuinely want people to play better golf, and it's really frustrating when you kind of see people talking themselves in circles and actively hurting their own handicap. Speaking of handicaps,
Yeah.
handicaps are not averages. This is, I think, is the last piece. It reflects your potential, so your best 8 to 5 rounds. I think it's 8, right? 8 out of 20.
8 of your last 20. Yep.
Um,
Best
that
8 of your last 20
best 8 of your last 20. So if your handicap is 0, that does not mean you're shooting even par for the
against the
course.
course rating.
Also against correct. So if your goal is a certain handicap, that's fine. But if you actually want to get better at golf, I would make your goal your average, your rolling average over your last 10 rounds. That's, I think, that'll give you a better understanding of if your scores are getting lower or not. Your handicap won't really do that. Like your handicap can get inflated or deflated pretty quickly. I don't know. Do we want to do a little data dump here? Do we want to talk about some actual expectation management?
I'm gonna leave that up to you.
Let's do a little data dump. We're
Yeah.
big fans of the data dump. You wanna
So
kick us off with the breaking 90 reality?
yeah, there's this breaking 90 reality that a 50 or 50 50 index if you first time playing. No, a 15 index breaks 90 about one out of every 3 rounds, so 33%. So okay, let that sit. One out of every 3 rounds for a 15 index. But the 15 handicap listing right now, they feel like a fraud when they shoot a 92. That's that you're having a completely normal 15 handicap kind of day. You think of the 20 index breaks at 1 out of 20 rounds. But again, 20, 72, man, I really should be shooting to break 90. Like that is a big lofty goal. You should be shooting for them, you're jumping up and down for joy when you end up breaking that 90, but it's not going to happen often if that handicap is at 20.
Yeah, and for that same person, they're gonna birdie 1 out of every 3 rounds. They're gonna make 1 birdie every 3 rounds. Let me say that again. A 15 handicap to 20 handicap will make 1 birdie every 3 rounds.
And
So
Isaac,
that's
guess
like
what?
it's fine if you don't make a birdie during a round. The way you
Yeah.
lower scores is not more birdies. It's less doubles, it's less bogeys, it's less big numbers. It's not
And that
missing 3 footers clearly.
yeah, and that 15 handicap, they're only hitting 4 greens around
Mhm.
in regulation. Whether that's the par 3, they're hitting in the first shot, the par 4 2 shots. I mean, it's not 9, it's not 6, it's 4. 4 out of 18.
And this, we do get some comments about like, well, man, like, what do you know? It feels like you're tearing me down. Whatever. This is not like a roast session. Like, we're just trying to set realistic expectations so you can enjoy when you go out there and play well, and you can identify when you actually play poorly. Understanding what an actual miss is for your handicap group is important, 'cause it keeps you honest. But if you have these inflated ideas, this inflated fiction where the TV is this ceiling and your ego's inflating your floor, and now you're really frustrated between, like, 2 completely made up numbers, you're not playing bad golf. Once again, you're just grading it wrong. You've made up this test, and you've made up these answers, and now we've got these made up expectations. And
Yeah.
I know, like, I was just talking about earlier was a little bit of a microcosm of it, of my own expectations during a round when I was already a gajillion over, which we can talk about later. But I know that you've played a ton of competitive golf. You want to talk a little bit about what's the how do you grade yourself during a round of golf? Do you have any kind of expectation management that you've done that you've maybe done poorly or done well?
Yeah. Yeah, the first time I qualified for the US Open sectionals, so the second round of US Open qualifying where you're 36 holes away from playing in a major, I played with 2 high-level tour players. The first one was Takumi Kanaya, and the second one was Richie Warinsky. At that time, Richie hadn't won a PGA Tour event, but he won big break, and I knew these names, and I played with him, and I was like, "Oh man, these guys are legit." And I see their name on the tee sheet, and the blood starts pumping. 4 days before the event, like I'm sitting on a couch, like, and my heart rate starts going up. Then I get there and I say, "Oh, they're warming up, 3 people down from me at the range." Like, "Oh, I'm so giddy." And then I see, someone else playing in the field. It's like, "Oh, I'm playing with Zach Blair. He's the group ahead of me." It's like, "Oh man, I really want to say hi to Zach, but I also like know that I'm trying to do something that's super hard." Then it wasn't until you get like 2 holes in, it's like, "Oh man, like they're just like me. Like they missed a par 3 green and they hit tee shots offline." But the thing was, Isaac, is that they almost expected it. They didn't let it
Mm,
phase them. And that was something that has gone into my expectation management, is that like bad shots are going to happen. And I watch these guys who are very accomplished players who have had great days where they shoot 62 in a field of 144 tour players. And they've also had the quote unquote bad days where they shoot in the mid 70s. But I'm sure if you were to look at those mid 70s rounds and you were to look at those low 60s rounds, if I showed you video clips of shots in between,
mm,
that they probably wouldn't look much different. So that was one of the first things that I ever noticed on and picked at, that man, like with high level tour pros, like they do not let the tough stuff phase them. Whereas we're talking with these non-scratch players, these higher handicap players, yeah, it's like a club drop from hitting it to 30 feet from 150 yards, one-handed finishes. Like, I don't know. Yeah, there is a lot of things. I also think the one thing that you maybe didn't touch on is that golf is the only sport where I can do the exact same thing that I see on TV.
mm,
If you wanted to and you paid the money, you could go to Pebble Beach and you could go and tee off where the tour players did, and you could hit the shot with a Titleist 3 that you saw so and so playing, and you could buy the club that looks like it's sky. You could do all those things. Like, I can't go to Wrigley Field and take a pitch from, I don't know a lot of baseball players, so take a pitch from Paul Skeens. I can't do those things. I can't line up against Derrick Henry, because one, I would die, but you can do all these things, but with golf you can. And so yes, that thought process of oh man, like I should be able to react the same way they do. It's like, no, you can't. You can't react that way.
Yeah, and I think part of that is golf is one of the few activities you can work obscenely hard at off of the playing field and not get better. Because one, that practice needs to be focused in a way that goes directly to translating to the field, right?
Yeah.
Like it doesn't naturally do that. You're hitting into a field with 100 golf balls. I golf, you're playing with 14 clubs and one ball and a new problem every time, whereas practice can be 100 balls with one club and no new problem every single time. And so now you're not actually getting better. But number two, let's say your practice is focused, you still have to understand how to pull the shots off on the course. So you could work, and I mean, I lived in that for a long time. Like you could work really, really hard and not understand how to get it to translate. And now you're frustrated. And that's okay. Like
Yeah.
you go to the gym and you work really hard, you're going to get stronger. You go clock in every day and you work really hard, you're going to get better at your job. You like but you go work on your golf game for a year and you might actually get worse. Like there's a real chance you get worse. I did. My scoring average my senior year was better than my scoring average my grad year. Like that's just golf, man.
Yeah.
It's hard. And I was talking to somebody the other day and we were talking about tournament golf and how it can be a little demoralizing to post a high score, and I understand. And I think I'm to the other side of it where I now look at those high scores as learning opportunities and less as, like, embarrassment, but I think part of that is through also doing this. Like, you post a reel that flops, and it's like, "Oh, well, I
Yeah.
guess no who cares? Nobody cares. Who
Yep.
cares? The only thing I'm gonna do is learn from it."
Yep.
So, I know that got into a little bit more of, like, how you deal with failure, but it's also like, man, truly, nobody cares. Nobody cares, and that's fine. Like, it's okay. Like, at some point, the goal is for you to get better. The goal
Yeah.
is for you to enjoy the process. The goal is not for you to go win the US Open and have all this fame and glory because you're not. Can you name the US Open winner from 2003? I can't.
No, it wasn't Tiger, so no, I can't.
So, like,
uh,
there you go. So
yeah.
even somebody who reached the top of their game, nobody cares,
Yeah.
and that's fine. It was probably like Chalmers or something like that. I should look
No.
him up.
So I want to touch on one thing about the practicing and not seeing results. I had dinner with a friend the other day. His younger brother is going to be a senior in high school, and he's really trying to play high level uh, college golf. He's like maybe playing D1, maybe playing D2. And I said, "How's his game going?" He's like, "Man, he's just at the golf course every single day." And my dad doesn't know a ton about golf, but my dad keeps preaching to him that you just need to go to the golf course and you're going to get better. You just need to go practice and you'll get better. Go practice, you'll get better. And unfortunately, golf is not 100% like that. And look, I had a long time. I thought for a long time I would feel very guilty if I didn't go practice that day. And yes, I'm a professional golfer. Yes, I need, this is my job. And you would be thinking like, oh, well, if I'm not doing my job on a Tuesday, then I'm, not getting paid or doing whatever. Absolutely. Professional golf is very much similar to that where you got to work at it every day, but you can't feel guilty for not practicing because it's not a guarantee. It's not like weightlifting, just like you said. So
Yeah.
the other thing I want to touch on
Mhm.
is when we talk about the expectation management. I want to walk through, not super in depth, but walk through one of my rounds the other day and talk about strokes gain specifically. And if you've never used strokes gain to break down your round and understand uh, w- what score translate to what or whatever happened. So I shot 68 the other day, shot 4 under, par 72. And I'm going to walk through what my four strokes gain categories were and how you might be thinking, oh, 68, 4 under. So you must have been gaining all these shots on tee shots and all this on putting and all this on approach. So from the off the tee, I can confidently say I didn't hit a single shot where I had to punch out. I
Mm.
hit almost. I'm not going to tell you the fairway numbers because fairways and not hitting the fairways doesn't affect strokes gained super in depth. But I gained 1.48, so 1.5 off the tee. Okay, let's go to approach play. I gained 1.46, and there was only one time where I hit the ball to tap in range. It was a
Mm.
125-yard shot, and I hit it to 2 feet. walked up, the guys I was playing with said, "Hey man, that's good." I knocked it in for, just to hear the sound of the ball go in the cup. There were definitely other holes. There's two par threes where I missed the green entirely. I'm losing strokes in that, but the conglomerate 1.5. Short game was minus 0.15, and a lot of that was from I didn't have a lot of chipping opportunities, but it's basically near zero. And then putting was gaining 0.74. All of that added up to a gaining plus 3.5, and I say this whole long thing to break down and to explain that it doesn't have to be I did these things amazingly. Like if you do a bunch of things okay and all right, you're gonna have a good round. It doesn't have to be, man, I made every single putt, man, I never missed a tee shot. It's just about managing those expectations and not thinking that I have to be perfect in order to play well.
Mm.
So you talk now because I I need to clear my throat.
No, well, we were talking beforehand. We'll start with the high. I shot 63 out at Springfield a couple weeks ago. And like, yeah, I was
I'm
very
clapping right
on.
now.
I was very on. Actually, I can walk through those strokes gain numbers.
Walk through those strokes gained to show again what a 63, so 9 under looks like.
Yeah. First of all, grab the Play Ready Golf app. You get 7 free days. Go get that if you were curious about your strokes gained. Okay. Shot 63. I'll give you the baseline stats that don't really matter before we jump in. I hit 6 fairways, 16 greens, and had 27 putts. I'm willing to bet you can guess where I made my 2 bogeys during that round.
Mhm.
Was on the 2 missed greens.
Yep.
And I missed them in bad spots too. I start on the back, but overall, gained 2.2 strokes gained driving with 6 greens. Or sorry, 6 fairways. I did hit a green off the tee. I did drive a green and
Do
2
you
putted.
know off the top of your head what that was?
We can find out. I drove 14 and I gained 1.09 shots.
Okay, so for 13 holes you gained for
I
13 tee
gained
shots.
1.11. Is that right?
Yeah, basically 1.
Yeah, with base barely hitting half the fairways, right? So you don't once again, you just got to keep it in play and not be punching out. Gain 0.37 strokes gained approach. I did hit quite a few pretty close. I mean,
So
I
you
hit
shot 63
yeah,
and didn't break +1 strokes gained approach.
plus 3.7. Plus
Oh, it was
3.7.
+3?
Yeah, plus 3.7.
Oh, I don't know where I got that number from
No,
then.
that's fine. But like still, I mean, I gained 6.6 shots overall and I shot -9. And this is compared to a Tour Pro, sorry. Short game was plus +0.9, chipped it good enough, but I clearly didn't get up and down twice. So, you would, barely cleared there. Minus -0.2 putting. I actually lost strokes putting on the day. Now, part of that is because I hit a gajillion greens, and so it all kind of works together. But
Right.
now, then you go and look at my round on Monday at US Mid-Am qualifying where I was 10 over on 3 holes. And it's like, yeah, that number is going to be pretty big. But, at the same time, it's like that once again, there's a reason there's averages, and once again, not to make a ton of excuses for why I shot a gajillion, but it was like the perfect storm of like the worst possible prep you could have. Hadn't played in basically 2 weeks, was sick on the couch all weekend. I'm still getting over it. Um, like didn't move it really at all. I went and hit some wedges some, but I was like out of breath moving around.
Yeah.
And I'd never seen the course before. And so like I was genuinely happy to be out there just having a good time. I had a great time. Like I shot a gajillion. I finished with a quintuple bogey and walked off smiling. Like I had a good time. Had a great group. It was a ton of fun. We're actually talking to Andrew, who I played with for next week's episode. That's going to be a really, really good episode. But that's another one where it comes back to expectation management can also be on like, how do I expect to like enjoy today?
Yeah.
I went into that round kind of knowing like I'm not going to be super sharp, and that's fine. Like I'm going to go out, I'm going to do my best, I'm going to enjoy the time. I did okay for 15 holes, which obviously you got to play 18, but I still like I drove home and was happy. Like I got to play golf today. It didn't go as I wanted. It's okay. I'll get another chance. Like it's not the end of the world. I know. And the other nice thing is, like we were talking about earlier, you play a bad round of golf. Now you know what you need to work on. Like I know exactly what I need to work on. It's those knockdown shots inside 150 yards. We're like off enough to where I was missing greens in bad spots. And then, tee shots where there's trouble, right? I was no bueno. I was hitting it to said trouble. So
Yeah.
that's an issue. But we're working. Hey, then we go out yesterday and play fine. So it all comes back. I don't know. I think expectation management is so tough because you do have to understand what you're grading yourself against. And you have to like actually understand knowing something and understanding something are two completely different things.
Yeah.
Um do you have an example of that? Like how you knew something, but eventually you came to understand it a little bit better. I've got an example, but I want to stop talking.
You do your example because it'll probably spark my
Mm.
mind.
Well, I was texting Luke this morning. We hit 50 paid subscribers this morning on the app, which was we're 130 days in. We're so grateful. I mean,
We
it's
need a soundboard so I can play some like clapping
no,
or
well, like here's the
yay.
thing. That's 50 people who are getting better at golf and we're super and are happy about it and are enjoying it and send us emails and updates and we couldn't be more excited to be part of their journey. But you hear the phrase like you overestimate what you can do in a day, but you underestimate what you can do in a year. And we definitely knew that. Like you hear it so much that you know it. I know that's true, but I didn't understand it in a way that like I still continue to live as if I could do more in a day than I thought I could, than I actually could. And so this is a good example of that. Like I I'm sure I had some kind of expectation of when I wanted to hit 50 paid subscribers. But in 130 days, like that's actually not that much. That's a third of a year we hit 50 subscribers. That's crazy. Like that's awesome. But and over the next 2 years, I'm sure I'm going to underestimate what we're able to do in the next 2 years. But then we just came up with this idea like 14 months ago, and now we've got all this exciting media that we're
Yeah.
doing, and we're helping so many people, and it's just so much fun. But I still look at every single day, and I was telling my wife this the other day, like I struggle to operate at less than 110%. Like if I don't feel overwhelmed, I feel like I'm not doing enough, which is 1,000,000% a problem, not a healthy mindset in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah.
But that's a good example of I feel like I can do more in a day than I actually can. And I think there's an aspect of that that leans into golf where we feel like we can accomplish more in a single shot than we can, but we underestimate what we can do with 14 to 18 approach shots.
Yeah.
So it's not necessarily I need to hold this one out and that's going to get this all back together. It's you need to hit 18 solid approach shots and a couple of them are going to end up really good. And a
Yeah.
couple of them won't. But the overall, we're looking at that overall average. This is why we talk about strokes gained so much. It's this overall average that we're looking for that's going to give you a good idea of if you're getting better over time or not.
Yeah.
Does that bring anything
Yeah.
to mind?
Yeah. Mine was much less wholesome and serious as yours. As you started telling it, I was very much focusing on like, oh yeah, it is really going good. Man, yeah, it is really feeling good to just help people out and to read comments and interactions with people and get to talk with people. There's so many times I'll play public courses and I walk them through the app and you kind of see their faces light up like, oh yeah, I work 9 to 5 job and I would love to, not just go aimlessly hit 7 irons on the range every single time. No, my story was when I was playing junior golf, and my dad was my high school coach. Very much, my dad has a lot of sayings, and sometimes when it's your dad, it just goes in one ear and out the other. And I could repeat the saying but not know what it means.
Mm-hmm.
You always say, "Hayden, par five," or if you're in trouble, if you're laying up, just lay back. If you're laying up, lay back. If you're laying up, lay back. I had a long stretch of laying up into water, just punching out through the fairway, punching out into bunkers. And it wasn't until like I did it the 50,000th time, it was like, oh, like I guess that's what it means to like lay back. And then honestly, usually what it takes for you to like punch out one time and you like punch out to a number. It's just like, oh man, I really wish I was closer. And then you hit that shot to like 10 feet and then you make the putt. It's like, oh, I can do that. And then you're like, and then it kind of sets the precedent for the rest of your life. you know what? I'll just punch out to a number in the fairway. If I'm in the fairway, I can try to hit it on the green. If I'm a good putter, I can, give a good look at making a putt.
Yeah, I love that, man. Well, we've talked a lot of out there stuff. This is a little more in depth. Let's talk about how we're going to recalibrate around all of this. This is the probably about 10% of people who started this episode are listening now, and this is where the good stuff is. So this is kind of like now you're going to win in this zone right here. So we're going to leave with a new mental model and a grading system that's going to allow us to understand how we're supposed to grade ourselves, and then we can actually get better because we know what we're supposed to be looking at. So we've got 4 rules here we're going to walk through. Number 1, grade against your row, not somebody else's. So this goes back to that strokes gain benchmark PDF that we've got down below that you can get for free. If you go in there, it's cool to look at the PGA Tour one, right? Like, oh yeah, they do this, they do that, or oh whoa, I didn't realize they hit it that far away from there. Grading against that benchmark is not going to help you because it's going to give you an inflated view of what you're supposed to do. You're going to be too hard on yourself. Once again, we come back to those 15 to 20 handicaps at 4 greens around and make 1 birdie every 3 rounds. They break 90 every 3 rounds, once every 3 rounds. So focus on your row. And if you beat your row, that's an A. If you're an average, that's a B. And if you fall behind it, it's a C. But once again, we're looking at everything. So you will hit shots that are worse than your baseline. You will hit shots that are better than your baseline. The goal is to hit more shots better than your baseline than you hit worse than your baseline. That's your goal. And your goal is to compare against the correct report card. So that is rule number 1.
Rule number 2, when you are hitting approach shots, use the green as a benchmark, not the flagstick. So
Mm,
you're 150 yards out, you're 100 yards out. If you hit it on the green, you get a pass at any distance. At any distance. We had a approach podcast the other day, and we talked about it's better to be 40 feet away on the green than 20 feet away in the rough, 20 feet away, even in fringe. When you get the flat stick in your hand, it's much easier to get the ball closer on that next shot. And so, if you're giving yourself a pass whenever you hit the green, give yourself a bonus if it's
mm.
within 20 feet, if it's closer to the flag. If you feel like, oh man, I hit this to a distant distance where this putt feels makeable, this putt feels like I can start playing on offense as opposed to playing on defense.
Yeah, this next one is putting. And I actually want to pull up another stat here that I did not put in the doc, but we're going to be grading our putts by the second putt. So not by the first putt. Here's why we're doing that. A 10 handicap from 5 feet makes 60% of their putts. So if half your putts as a 10 handicap are tap ins from 5 feet, that's fine. That's actually fine. Like, okay, we'll move on. If you want to get better at putting, you make more putts inside 8 feet and you 3 putt less from everywhere else. That's it. So we're grading our putting by the result of the first putt, not as in make or miss, but as in can I just go tap in the next one? That's all we're trying to do there. So that means, what does that mean? That means we need to be working on making putts inside of 5 feet when we go practice, and we need to be working on our lag putting from outside of 30 feet when we go practice. We did a main channel YouTube video on the putting donut, avoiding the putting donut. And that donut is from about 12 feet to 30 feet, where it doesn't really benefit you a whole lot to get better from that zone. Because if you get better at not 3 putting from 35 feet, you'll probably get better at not 3 putting from 25 feet. But it's really tough to make more putts from 25 feet. Like the difference between you and a tour pro is not as much from 25 feet as it is from 40 feet or from 5 feet. So stay outside the donut. Let's lean out. It's Jack and I, my brother-in-law and I are starting a little weight loss competition as of today. So it's heavy on the mind between now and Christmas.
Did he approach you after he listened to our last episode where we equated all short game shots to food and dinner options?
No, we were talking about how much weight we gained this summer because of how much ice cream. Oh, got a Ninja Creamy too. I didn't even tell you about that. We got a
Oh,
Ninja Creamy now. I'm
we,
going to be
okay.
reporting on that.
A big adult moment. Bought a Costco membership yesterday.
Oh,
And when we
nice.
were going by the appliance aisles, oh, Ninja Creamy, Ninja, I think it was like Coffee Maker
Mhm.
Pro. Yeah, there's a lot of there's a lot of things that went on that wish list
If you've got
immediately.
any good Ninja Creamy recipes, please drop them in the comments. I've got the first batch of bases in. I'm probably have to order some more like little cup things, but I will be keeping people updated on that. That is heavy on the mind currently.
Okay,
All right,
so
sorry. Rule
rule
4.
yeah, new rule number 3 was grading your putts by the second putt. I love Scott Fawcett's, rule, the 10% rule. So if
Mhm,
you're 20 feet, it's a great putt if it's inside 2 feet. If it's a 40-footer, it's a great putt if it's inside 4 feet. Rule number 4 is steal Hogan's scorecard. So after your round, before you look at the number, name the 3 or name how many shots came off exactly like you pictured them. If you found 3, if you found 4, found 5, if you found we said 3, I think if you found 2,
mhm.
name it as a successful round. I
Yeah.
mean, because again, I'm a professional golfer. Isaac, you shot a 63, 60,
Mhm.
yeah, 63. Off the top of your head, can you name how many were that perfect number? That perfect shot?
Top of my head, 3. Driving the
3,
green,
9
almost
under.
hooped one on 18. Had to hit one over the clubhouse. I hit my drive so far right, had to hit one over the clubhouse and hit it to a
Oh
couple feet,
gosh.
and then obviously made one on, my 3rd to last hole.
Yeah, so I mean, like, but 3, and it was a 9 under round.
Yeah.
So if you can get 2, I'm telling you, that's a great round. So use that scorecard as your benchmark because that's how we're going to rewire our brains. That's how we're going to build those new neural pathways. I love talking about neural pathways. If we want to change the way we act, we got to change the way we think. If we want to change the way we think, then we have to habit build inside of our brain.
Mhm. So that new report card is making sure you're looking at your own row on that chart that you can grab for free down below, looking at how many greens you're hitting over how close you're hitting it to the flag, measuring yourself by how far away your second putt is, and then trying to keep track of your Hogan 3 or your Hogan 2 or whatever you want to call that. And look at that. None of that requires any money. Isn't that sick? None of that requires money. So, having expectations that are appropriate for your skill level will help you remove pressure. And the pressure that adds up can make the golf more difficult. I think having some pressure is a good thing too. Like yesterday, Colby and I were playing a match, and I felt some pressure coming down the stretch. And I said after the round, I was like, it felt good to feel something. Like
Yeah.
that's all I want. I want to feel something so that I know if I'm going to be able to pull it off or not. But if you're grinding over a 6 footer on the weekend with your buddies, like it's a pass fail test and you're super, super nervous because you have to make every single 6 footer, that's not actually helping you. And second, this honest grading fixes your practice. Like when you stop saying that you failed in a shot where you actually hit it fine, you're going to actually be able to identify where leaks find are standing out. If you are sinking in a boat and you're blaming it on the sail because the sail was the wrong color that you ordered. That's kind of what we're doing with golf. Like we're blaming some stuff that's just not even semi-related. Like, oh man, I missed 7 fairways today and I shot 100. It's like, well, I hate to say it, but the fairways were not the issue. I can guarantee you that. It was whatever we were doing outside of that. So there's there's our rules.
Yeah, yeah,
We're gonna
Isaac,
stop practicing to appease our ego. We're gonna actually start
yes.
practicing to improve.
Yes. And so getting close to wrapping this up, if we want to think about, the devil's advocate,
Mhm.
don't think that expectation management is permission to be mediocre. Because while someone might think that, oh, high standards are what we want to have and all this, and some if just well, Hayden and Isaac said expectation management. I need to just lower my expectations. I need to do this. Bob Rotella literally says people who are trying to get the best, sorry, people who are trying to be the best get used to tough evaluations and they have very high standards. If 4 greens is what your goal is, if 4 greens is fine, why would I ever get better?
Well, because we got to look at the whole rotisserie, the whole Rotella here, because he settles it himself. He says that golfers, particularly high handicappers, perceive themselves too negatively and let the bad shots dominate their memories. This is the guy who talking to Rory McIlroy before he won the Masters the first time. This guy knows what he's talking about. He says demanding perfection of yourself on the golf course is deadly. And his on course prescription is one sentence. If you have any expectations or must have any expectations, expect to make mistakes. Keep high standards. just put them where Rotella puts them. If a lot of people who are going to be listening at this point, you and I would put in this category, are ambitious. There's a difference between being ambitious and having unrealistic expectations of yourself. You can be ambitious and go get after it, but you also have to pair that with realistic expectations so that you know what to expect out of a round of golf. If you're going to, once again, if you're going to expect anything, expect things to go wrong. Like that's just life, man. If you wake up every day and expect everything to go right, you're not cut out for golf, or you're not cut out for getting better at golf.
Yeah.
If you show up to the golf course and get frustrated over bad shots, you had the wrong expectations when you pulled into the parking lot. That's a good clip right there.
Yeah, it is. No, I mean, seriously, but I flamed my brother-in-law. I'm gonna say it again. One of the very first times we played together, he got so mad after bad shots, and I told him, "Hey, you don't practice enough. You are not good enough to be getting upset."
Mm.
And that's the reality.
Yeah, and that's the biggest reason why people quit golf. We did a whole main channel YouTube video on that. Like, they just don't have fun. They get frustrated with the level of difficulty. That's why I think Player Ready Golf has been so great for those people, is the app, because it gives you realistic expectations and it allows you to see if you're actually getting better through practice or not, and it makes it very objective. Now, talking about getting better at a skill that maybe you're not great at right now, what's the plan with this Instagram page, Hayden? Let's flesh a little bit of this out right now.
Yeah, you talking about me?
Yes.
I think a lot of times in the past, like, when it comes to personally, like, okay, we're gonna have personal hour right here. I try to have like one social media, maybe
Mhm,
two, and I just like I use that because I know again, social media can be distracting and it can take time away from things you want to do, but it's addictive. And I feel like too, I can also find a lot of things on there that are interesting and I can learn and research and keep up on news. I don't read the newspaper, so I get a lot of my news from Twitter or
mhm,
TikTok. And I'm kind of at the point now where I'm having so much fun recording these podcasts. I'm seeing a lot of the things that you're posting, and I I see a lot of people that are either like quote unquote influencers that post stuff about them out on the golf course. Like, oh man, you know what? Like, I'd love to film a play a hole with me. I'd love to, walk through. Hey, this is actually why I hit this shot in this situation. And yeah, play ready golf. This platform, Isaac and we're loving what we're doing. I think it's really taking off. In the reaction that we get from people when we communicate and we talk about what the mission is for
mhm,
this app, what the mission is for this podcast and boosting and promoting the app, we get a lot of positive feedback. And I don't think that it's just people giving us, it to appease us. I really don't think that it's people giving it to us to, make us feel any better. I think that we're getting real significant wins. I don't think it's participation trophy stuff. So, all that to say, be on the lookout for Play Ready Golf Hayden.
yeah, what's the angle we're wanting to take? Listen, man, I'm gonna have to, the edit on this episode is gonna take the same amount of time as everything else. So let's flesh a little bit of this out. Because I'm also curious what people are thinking down. Like I want people's thoughts down in the comments too on whatever we're gonna talk about here. Like what's obviously the goal of Isaac Ramsey Golf, that Instagram page, is the little snippets that you can take with you throughout the day that help you practice more efficiently and effectively, and maybe give you some more of these. A little bit of it is expectation management as well, um, and just trying to connect with people on there, right? Like we look at a lot of the metrics that we look at, or that I look at a lot, are email subscribers. How many email subscribers do we get? If you're not signed up for that, you will get it. You will get on the list if you download that stats guide. And I send out 2 emails a week. Once again, efficient and effective stuff. So that's kind of the lens that I look at it through. And we don't get a ton from Instagram. So what I look at Instagram is community building. And I've gotten in a ton of great DM conversations with people on there, and being able to go back and forth and have some disagreement too, which is I think really good, like healthy disagreement, and be able to connect with a lot of the guests on this podcast as well. So I'm curious what, like, in once again, like, I'm not your boss, you're not my boss. Like we do whatever we want, right? Like what is your, what's your kind of goal with hopping on Instagram there? Do you have anything
Yeah,
in
I
mind?
think I love the aspect of responding to comments. I think, and I think I want to bring a lot of stuff to the golf course. I do want to,
Mm,
whether it's me behind a little mic, having a stand, I want to bring some stuff out there and kind of be like boots on the ground. kind of give that like the example of, okay, this is what I'm doing. We
Mhm.
talked about this on the last episode. Here's it practically. If we want to break down all the different forms of media and how buttoned up they are, podcast is pretty far on that. Hey, we're raw and
Yeah.
unfiltered. I'd like to have a little bit more like thoughtful, provoked,
Mm,
filtered content for me to solo produce.
yep.
And then also, selfishly, Isaac, I don't think you post a lot of me myself on my clips from the pod. No,
I was gonna
no,
say,
that's
man,
not it.
you're cooking over it. Actually, we should let's pull up the most viewed on the on Instagram. I think you are actually most of them. Which once again, like I was playing with somebody who knew you on Monday. I didn't even get into this before we were talking. I said,
Oh, John
unfortunately,
Muir, that's what it
yes,
was.
shout out the man. We were talking. I was like, unfortunately, Hayden has a voice for radio and a face for news, and he's 6'4", and he's good at golf. Like, couldn't save any for the rest of us. Yeah, here we go. We've got one, two, three, four, five of the top 11 are you. So let's
Hey, look,
lay
we got
off.
to strike the
Isaac
iron
doesn't
while it's
post
hot,
me.
man. If it's just a fad where America's noticing Hayden, we're just gonna go for it.
What I think is interesting is I listen obviously to a lot of like content strategy people. And one of them was part of the hook is you looking like what somebody imagines an expert in that space looks like. And thankfully, we're two guys that look like we belong to a country club, even though we don't. Rest in peace, our bank accounts. Uh, and one day, But that I mean that plays into it. Like in all honesty, like you look the part, right? Like you look like the expert that you are. To a degree, I look like the expert that I am. I'm not
Yeah,
very good at many things, but I'm very good at helping people play better golf, and I also kind of look like it, right? Like
yeah.
on
You
to
put
my
me in Peter
detriment.
Millar, you put me in a Smathers and Branson
Yeah,
belt, FootJoy
whoa!
shorts.
Shout out to H&B. Flex the tag there.
Yeah, I'm gonna look like I belong there. So okay. You wanna close them out?
Yeah, I think that was great, man. This has been a good episode. Once again, if you guys have any thoughts, go ahead and drop her down below. Yeah, let's give the people what are we taking with us into
So
the rest of our week.
here's what we want you to take away from this. We are 57 minutes in.
Great.
And look, if you have never actually watched yourself play golf, you have watched yourself fail to be a TV broadcaster. Every eye roll over a 25-footer from the fairway, every club slammed after a missed 10-footer, that was you failing a test. Nobody passes. Not you, not the guys on Sunday afternoon, not the guys that are playing the best amount of golf for the most amount of money. That is a benchmark that was just absolutely made by you subconsciously or consciously. So here's the goal. The next round, hit a green from 150, check mark. Walk up, have a 25-foot putt, and say the true thing out loud. Say
Mhm.
that the tour average on a 25-footer says that I should not make this. You
Mm,
roll that 20-footer up to tap in range. You say it again. You know what? If I knock this in, I'm just as good as a tour player at this moment. That's the benchmark.
mhm,
We're not even talking about your handicap benchmark. So
mhm,
you were never as bad as what your reactions were. You were a 15 handicapper grading yourself with a scorecard stolen from a broadcaster. So give it back. Grade the golfer
mhm.
who actually showed up that day. He was doing better than you ever gave him credit for.
Yeah. Well, and if this changed how you grade your rounds, the episode where we proved the driving range is where golfers hide from getting better is the natural next one. It'll be right between us. You can click on that one. Please subscribe. I'll probably toss some other thing here in the beginning to subscribe. But if you're still listening to this point and you're not subscribed, please do it. That actually does for us is it doesn't we don't make money off of this, but what it does is it gets more people like you to see the podcast. So if you want more people who are just like you to get better at golf, go and shoot us a subscribe. If you don't want them to get better at golf, don't subscribe. That's all. If you want people to continue sucking at golf, do not subscribe. But in the meantime, go ahead and click on that video between our faces. We will see you guys next time.